Welcome to the Clarence-Rockland Guide. I'm Derrick Scott. We're discovering more about people that make our community a better place, whether it be volunteers, whether it be people who are passionate about community. And definitely our next guest is all of that and also passionate about the history of Clarence-Rockland. Gilles Chartrand is with us on the Clarence-Rockland Guide. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you're known as Mr. Rockland. You've probably heard that before, right, Jill?
Yes, but this makes me feel a bit uneasy.
And why is that?
Well, nobody is so important as to be called Mr. So I like them to call me Gilles.
Gilles.
Yes.
So Mr. Rockland, no. Gilles. You're known as the curator for the museum in Rockland, Clarence-Rockland.
Yes.
How long have you been involved in that, Jill?
Well, the museum opened officially on April 29th, 2010. So that's 9 years ago.
And how did the opening come together?
Well, the building is owned by the city. And it is the city that asked me to install the maquette that represent the beginning of Rockland. And these maquettes were done by Mr. Laporte on a 10-year period. And then they were stored in his basement in Hall for 35 years. So it's a miracle that they are still in good shape. And now they are in Rockland.
And they are in great shape when you look at them.
Oh, yes.
A lot of documentation that isn't half as old can have a lot of damage. Yeah. Why were you asked, Gilles, to be a part of it?
Well, Mr. Laporte heard about me several years before that. And one day, I was at the nursing home for a shot. That was the last time I had a shot because I was so sick after that. But after the shot, you have to stay there for half an hour in case you have some, I don't know how to call this.
Complications?
Yes. So I was talking with a lady who was the widow of Mr. Laporte, who wrote the book on Rockland in 1982. And we were talking about heritage, etc. The buildings are going away, disappearing. And I told her there used to be some maquettes of the early buildings in Rockland, and it's too bad they are gone. She looked at me, said, no, they are not gone. She told me that they are in her brother-in-law office in Hall, and he was waiting for my call. So the next day I called him, had a meeting with him, and everything was in his basement, all piled up. And so he asked me, what are you taking with you today? I said, what? Yes, I give everything to you.
And you weren't expecting that?
Nothing. So I said, well, there's so much stuff that I have to find a place, because the only place that was available at that time was in the basement of the museum now, and that was not a finished basement. It was on dirt, so you don't place these things there. So I said, I will think about it, and within 24 hours I'll get back to you. So while coming down, I realized that the husband of my niece has a large building on Landry Road in Clarence Creek with a big attic. So I asked him if I could place these there for a while. No problem. So the next Saturday, one of my nephew from Peterborough, he is in the army, he was visiting the family. So I asked him if I could have the service, both himself and the truck, to carry everything. We made only one trip, but everything was packed. I was driving like this in my car. So I installed these things in the attic, and then I started thinking, where can I place these things?
So this was at the time where you were searching for
a place to
a permanent place.
Yes. But meanwhile, the Cumberland Museum heard about these, and they asked me if they could borrow the whole thing for 6 months. which I was happy to do. It took a whole building for this exhibit. But after 6 months, they needed a place for other exhibit. They asked me if it is possible to take them out. So by pure chance, the YMCA asked me if I could place them in the big lobby. It's about 100 feet in length and 40 feet wide for 3 months, which I did. But then I had to take them out after 3 months. I went to the town hall, and when I stepped in, the mayor, Mr. Chartrand, was there with Mrs. What's her name again? Well, she was in charge of this section. So she looked at each other, and Mr. Lalonde asked, "Did you call him?" She said, "No." Mrs. Lepipe, Mrs. Yes. And she asked him, "Did you call him?" He said, "No." Well, I see, what's happening? Well, he said, "We were talking about all these artifacts that have to come out of the YMCA. Why don't you place them in the back room in that building?" I said, I was thinking about this, but I felt this was to be used for something important. He said, "Yes, that's important." So I brought all these things there. But then I cheat.
You didn't cheat,
Yes,
Gilles.
yes. I realized that the whole building was used only by 2 groups. When you come in, on the right there was a larger room that was a driving school. But that was used only four times per 4 nights, but every month, 4 nights per month. All the other time it was empty. And upstairs there are 2 rooms that are rented for the soccer. But all the other rooms are empty. I said, we should use this.
So you wanted to maximize the space. You saw the extra space and thought, I could use this space.
Some, yes. So my collection of binders that were in my daughter's house, I needed 2 rooms for that. So I said, in the basement, there used to be a large room for the archives of the Centre Culturel. And then in the kitchen, there were a lot of shelves. I used them. Then I had a lot more shelving. And then my sports collection, everything was in the garage. That's not the best place, eh?
No.
But it was not too bad. It was right. So I placed these in a small room. Then I realized something. I said, Gilles, you have 1 room for the maquettes, 2 rooms for the archives, 1 room for everything pertaining to sports. It looks like a museum. And I was there almost every day. So people saw me there. They came in and they saw what I was doing. They said, hey, I have this. Would you like to have this? Yes. Now I will make a comparison. Now the museum is like a magnet. It's attracting. Every week people are giving things to the museum. Every week.
Even now?
Oh yes. Mm. And as you know, I have visitors every day. So this is keeping me busy and I love it.
Now, do you think people are dropping off the artifacts, pictures, what have you, based on who you are? Because Gilles, it goes without saying that you're very passionate about the community, but you're equally as passionate about the history of Clarence-Rockland.
Well, I will tell you, people, they love to give things to the museum because they know that what is coming to the museum will never go out. Nothing is ever to be sold. So they know that what they will give the museum, it will be there for their lifetime, their children's lifetime, and even their grandchildren's lifetime. Unless there's a tornado or a fire, but I don't think about this.
How many artifacts and items would you estimate there are in the museum now?
Over 1 million.
1 million.
Over. When they come, we will count them.
Okay, deal.
Okay, we have over 29,000 books. I didn't finish reading them. We have over 1,900 binders. Some are 5 inches thick. These binders contain between 850 to 950,000 pages, photos, documents, pins, badges from all across the world, but mainly the area here. We have 6 full-time exhibits. We have everything, everything.
Now, along with the museum, you also volunteer and give back in other areas. A long list. What would they be, Gilles?
Well, would you believe me that to tell you everything that I do, I need 3 pages, 3 full pages.
Wow.
I will show these pages to you after the emission, okay? So,
can you give us a couple of examples
well,
of how you give back to the community? Because I know you are involved and have a lot of interest in history of the area.
Yes, well, my first involvement with the community was as a volunteer fireman for 7 years, but also as a volunteer ambulance driver and attendant. That was started by the volunteer fire brigade for 7 years or so. Then I founded the Broomball Leagues in Rockland, the Ladies League and the Men's League, who were the 2 strongest leagues in Ontario. One team playing in Rockland have been the Ontario champions for 14 years in a row until they retired. And they have been also the Canadian champions.
Something to be proud of.
You bet. And also, I had 2 teams. My own brother's team, who were 8 brothers, but that was a league team. But also, I had a Millite team. We participated to the Canadian Championship in 1982 in Cornwall. We won the bronze medal. Only the champs beat us in semi-final. Won the thing in overtime. And then next year, we won the league, we won the regions, we won the provincial, and then we went to Corner Brook, Newfoundland, for the nationals. We got beaten in second period overtime by Quebec, so we came back with the silver medal. So a team from a small 4,000 people town, that's not too bad.
I think that's phenomenal. You're very involved in the community. Along with the museum, you sit on several boards. You're the treasurer in a number of cases. How does Gilles unwind? How do you relax?
Anytime I go to the museum, I relax.
Is the museum work to you? Are you working there?
No, I don't call this work. And I would not want to be paid. If I'm paid, I become a functionary, and I would be in the union. Then they would not accept that I work between 50 to 60 hours a week. Because after 25 hours, they have to pay me time and a half.
But just think of the money you could have, Gilles.
The money is not important. It's to like what you do and to do what you like. That's a blessing. And if I can transfer this to people to like what they do, then they will do what they like, or vice versa.